How to make a mixtape.
Now, the making of a good compilation tape is a very subtle art, many do's and don'ts. First of all, you're using someone else's poetry to express how you feel. This is a delicate thing. You gotta kick it off with a killer, grab attention. Then you gotta take it up a notch. But you don't want to blow your wad, so then you gotta cool it off a notch. There are a lot of rules.
Hello again, and welcome to How to Make a Mixtape. I am Roderick, and I am here with my friend Don.
Episode 4.
Here we are.
Quattro. 1 month of episodes.
Is that? Oh yeah, that is 1 month of episodes.
We've done one a week. I don't know if we've had any weeks off, but one a week, so a month of episodes.
You know, we followed through this far, so I'm proud of us.
I mean, if this was a New Year's resolution, we'd still be on track.
That's very true. That's very true. How did you feel about the last mixtape when you went back
and listened to Zach's sequencing? It's wrong, but it's it's incorrect. And it's incorrect first 2 tracks. It should have gone Master of Puppets and then Raining Blood. As soon as I listened to it, I was like, "Oh, Zach, it's unfortunate that you did this wrong."
Yep, I love that he's going to hear this, and I love that. I gotta agree, Zach.
You do agree.
I do agree. I'm not sure I have such a strong opinion about the first 2. I just feel like the first whole half is so like powerful, and it just kind of tails off. The more I listened to that King Crimson song, the more I actually enjoyed it. But I'm not. Sure. I don't think that's a closer of a mixtape.
No, it's absolutely not a closer.
Like if I'm in my car and I'm getting out of the car and that song's not finished yet, and I get back in my car, I'm just switching the tape. I'm not finishing that song. I don't need to hear the rest. So
it was fun because it was our first like pretty heavy mixtape. You know, like you said, at least the first half was, and then you're absolutely right. It was like kind of a slow dive.
All in all, though, pretty eclectic mix, and I was stoked on that for the riffage.
Super eclectic. You know? I loved it.
So we got some more responses from the listeners. We got someone was, quote, big mad that there was no Iron Maiden on the playlist.
That's totally valid. That would have been a library to dig into to find a best riff. Do you have a favorite Iron Maiden track?
I don't listen to a lot of Iron Maiden. So like I would I know The Trooper, of course. Mm-hmm. I know more. Like if I heard it, I'd be like, yeah, I know the song, but I couldn't.
That is one of those bands where the live albums are 10 times what the recorded albums are. If you want to get into Iron Maiden, you should start with the live albums. And if you find the city specific live albums where he's screaming the city that he's in, oh man, it makes it even better because he gives a lot of hometown props to wherever they're at.
Speaking of getting into another response to call out here, because I'd never heard of this band. And I went and listened to this track, and it is a banger riff, and I might listen to this band some more. But the song is called A Flower in a Glove, and the band is called Frog Eyes. Are you familiar with this band?
Oh, God, no, never even heard of them. So I'm writing it on my little Post-it notepad that I take notes on.
Probably too obscure to make the mixtape. It's a little obscure, but I will say I went and listened to it, and it's a hell of a riff.
What's really funny is that I was getting ready to write down Frog Eyes on my Post-it pad, and I was so excited to write on Post-its that I wrote down Post-its as what I was writing down instead of Frog Eyes. But I corrected it. All right, so Frog Eyes, and what was the name of the song?
A Flower in a Glove.
A Flower in a Glove. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I actually want to read the submission from Jeff, who submitted this. Says, the riff on Frog Eyes, A Flower in a Glove, tickles my tom-toms so much I had to change my drawers. I ain't mad at you.
Wow. I gotta put that one at the top of my to listen to list.
Yeah. I mean, there's even more to it there, but you can, everybody, if they want to read the whole submission, they can go back to the episode on Spotify and you can read.
So props to Jeff for his shout out in the Spotify, which is where we're getting most of it. I encourage everyone to follow the podcast on Spotify if you can. We have low followers, but high listeners. So if you guys could listen and follow, that'd be awesome. Also, Rod just informed me going through all the analytics of the podcast. I want to shout out the one dude or woman, the man or woman or non-binary person in the Netherlands that has listened to How to Make a Mixtape.
Yep. Thank you, our Dutch friend, whoever you are.
Just the one of you that's throwing down. If you could tell a couple people in the Netherlands if you enjoyed it, greatly appreciate it.
We would very much appreciate that. I would very much like to see the Netherlands number climb a little bit following this episode. So, and Donnie's right, and he's more threatening than me, so I'm glad he said it. You guys need to follow this because we are getting quite a few listens, but not a lot of followers. So how else are you going to know when the new episode's out? Except you could also follow the Instagram and know How to Make a Mixtape Podcast on Instagram.
You could absolutely follow the Instagram. How to Make a Mixtape Podcast. Great job.
That was smooth. We're getting better at this, Donnie.
I'm trying to be a good Instagrammer, and I am not. It's usually one post a week, but I always feel like I don't want to feel pandery, and I don't want to like just post nonsense. I was so excited about my Buckethead Ingve post, and it got like 3 likes, and I was like, oh shit, man, maybe I'm not doing a good job.
I just don't think people are really into Buckethead or Ingve, man. Although
That's fair. I get it.
What people couldn't see on the episode is the smile that was on Zach's face when you even brought up Ingve. So he obviously was familiar, as a guitar player, Zach majored in guitar for a while in college, by the way. I didn't mention that. Yeah. So like the dude's talented. So he is obviously aware, but
yeah, what a crazy major.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for everybody who's listening. We're getting a lot of great feedback from people and we really appreciate it. This has been fun and we're going to keep chugging along.
So here's what I was in the process of doing as you were talking about Zach and his majoring, is that I was, based on the one listener that we have in the Netherlands, I was hoping that Sattva was actually a Dutch word. And like, maybe it's like somebody in the family, like the lineage might have been there. And that's how we got the one listener, is that it
because
is somebody from like the
everything?
Sattva family. Yeah, I was hoping that that's what it was. But I can't find the source of the word Sattva.
It doesn't sound Dutch. I'm going to be honest with you. Not that I'm any kind of linguistic expert, but it does not sound Dutch to me.
It doesn't, but I was hoping it was.
I mean, it's a good thought. It's the thought that counts.
Right. All right, man. This is an exciting episode.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
This was a fun one. You said it was a tough one for you.
This one has actually been the hardest yet. And every episode we say how hard it is.
Yeah.
But this one was the hardest. I went back and forth the most. This is the first time I feel like I'm gambling a little. Like there's ones that I want to say, but I'm kind of gambling that one of you two are going to say it. And then I'm going to feel like I got more than 4 songs on the playlist.
I have a story for every one of my songs. And before so obviously I don't want to take up too much of everyone's time with storytelling, but if there is someone that's one hell of a storyteller, it's going to be our guest for today's episode.
Here at How to Make a Mixtape Podcast, we are powered by Riverside. If you want to make a podcast, video interviews, webinars, video marketing, panel discussions, or even just presentations, Riverside FM is a great option for you. With great features like web-based editing, transcriptions, AI-generated social media clips, captions, and even teleprompters, Riverside makes your media project easy. If Riverside's something you want to try for your next project, make sure you click on the link in this episode's description. And now back to the show.
How to make a mixtape.
Let's bring this guest in and let's get this shit started.
Let's do it.
Special guest this week, Jason Callahan of Bag of Tricks. Welcome to the podcast, buddy. So excited to have you.
Hey, Jason.
Very, very excited to be here.
Roots run very deep.
For sure.
20 years of family friendship. Best friend of one of my best friends in my entire life, Sean. And then Jason's the older brother that's everybody's older brother in the whole family.
I'm best friend by proxy.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have had many a deep conversation about ridiculous music choices and things like that. And when it came time to start the How to Make a Mixtape podcast, I was like, oh, dude, there's no better 90s music aficionado than Jason to have on the show, and couldn't be more stoked to have you here and have you participate. So thanks for joining us, buddy.
Of course. We're going to talk about some fun stuff today.
I love it.
Donnie, it feels like it's like base level, like base entry level, just to be friends with you, that you have to have deep music conversations. Like it's like you're not going to give somebody your time unless they're willing to do that.
It's a bridge for everyone to get along. How can everybody that enjoys music, we can talk shit about why your choices are wrong and mine are right. And that's really what music and friendship is all about, is that your choices are wrong and mine are right.
Which, before we really get into this, I do have to call you out for group texting me with mutual friends to try to get them into our debates about who was right and wrong on previous episodes. What is that about? Don't bring other people into our fights.
And yeah, the best part was you said, what was the joke that you made?
I said, don't let the fight. I was like, don't let the fight leave the house or something like that.
Don't let the fight leave the house. And the best part was that Zach was wrong and that it should have gone Master of Puppets and then Raining Blood is where the playlist was wrong. Jason, do you have an opinion? Did you listen to the mixtape?
I did listen to the mixtape. I don't have an opinion on the order, but I do have an opinion on episode 3. How did you guys record on Pi Day and neither of you decided to talk about the song 3.14 by the Bloodhound Gang?
Oh, man. I haven't listened to the Bloodhound Gang in 20 years. That's probably why.
Arguably the best song on Hooray for Boobies from 1999. And I cannot believe I'm listening to it, right? I got my earbuds in and I'm listening to you guys talk and I'm staring at my phone and Rod starts talking about American Pie. And I'm like, okay, all right. Donnie will say it. I know Donnie will say it. And I'm staring at my phone and it never happened. And it was like my brain was going to explode. I cannot believe.
Yeah.
Can I give you an excuse? I didn't know he was going to ask me that question. I wasn't prepared. That was legit top of brain. He could have just as easily asked me my favorite flavor of pie, and I would have been more prepared. Like honestly, like I did not have time to think about it at all.
It was such an obscure question. What's your favorite pie related song? It's like,
yeah.
Well,
dumb question.
I had it. So
we're not all you, Jason. We don't all have that ready to go in the chamber.
Yeah.
Next year. We'll get it next year.
Jason, tell us about yourself first, and then tell us the theme you picked and why.
Sure. I do a podcast.
He's a Capricorn.
I'm a Gemini. I enjoy long walks on the beach. I do a podcast. You almost gave us a shout out on an episode. That was
a shout out. It was so close.
Yeah. Talk about edging.
Name, yeah.
I will bring it up since you decided not
Please
to.
Do.
Our podcast is called Unstable Discourse. We have over 60 episodes out there for people to listen to. It's doing pretty well, and we have a lot of fun. If you want to talk about, if you like disc golf or just pop culture in general, we kind of cover both of those pretty well, and it's a good time. We have a lot of fun with it. So in addition, I also host bar trivia all over Chicagoland for Bag of Tricks Entertainment. I've been a host for them for 7 years. So if you like bar trivia, if you like pop culture and you're in Chicagoland, you can certainly come out to any of our events. Follow us on Facebook. We post all the time.
Here's my favorite thing about Jason's bar trivia. There is no just okay bar trivia. It's either really good, which is the bucket that Jason falls into, or it's really fucking bad. And there's no in between. You're not going to a bar and like, it was fine. Like, it's either great bar trivia, the questions are good, the host is good, everything's fun, the audience is engaged, or there's bad bar trivia where like you get, wow, welcome to bar trivia. And this one's dude, it can be the worst. So I have gone to Jason's bar trivia and it's a blast. So if you are in the Chicagoland area, western suburbs, look out for Jason hosting somewhere with Bag of Tricks. He's wearing his own apparel. He's got his own apparel for Bag of Tricks, which is great. And for his bar trivia, I was thinking, Rod, if we do get to a point where we can do how to make a mixtape podcast apparel, I'm just going to have a shirt that just says totally, really big for all the times that I've just passively said totally with me agreeing with what people are saying.
Done. As long as we can have some kind of Chicken Rock shirt.
Yeah, we'll have a deep Chicken Rock shirt.
God, I hope so.
Jason, what's your theme?
So the theme that I chose, what is the most important time in anybody's life musically is the ages of 15 to 18, right? I think we can all agree whatever you listen to during those years, you're going to listen to for the rest of your life. For me personally, that is the years of 1994 through 1997. So I chose the 90s, but more specifically, 90s one-hit wonders. I love the idea of a one-hit wonder.
Why?
There is something to be said for like shooting the shot that you only have the 1%, less than 1% chance of making, right? Musically, and it landing. There's always going to be a great story behind a one-hit wonder. And I think that's why I become so obsessed with it. I become obsessed with these bands that maybe nobody else bothered to listen to the rest of the album. And I will purchase their records and listen to them at length and fall in love with these bands that nobody knows even exist.
When Jason and we started communicating via 60 Songs That Explain the 90s, and we've talked about it a couple of times on the podcast. We started kind of connecting about that again. And then he did the Semisonic episode, which was the last one, 120th episode of 60 Songs.
Yep.
And then he talked about the singer of that band, which again, Semisonic, Closing Time, total one-hit wonder, 90s band.
Yeah.
And then you look at that singer's current credentials.
It's incredible, right?
Super producer for Adele. Like, is the one-hit wonder the gateway into doing so much more? At least I hope for everybody it is. I hope that everybody that has a great one-hit wonder has been able to pursue a career in music, but I mean, it would be such a bummer.
What? Not if you're White Town. Not if you're White Town.
Yeah, that dude's playing Naperville Rib Fest.
I like that you hope that for everyone, Donnie. I hope that for all of them too. I hope that they're behind the scenes somewhere, right? Twisting some knobs and moving some sliders and like making money behind the scenes. That'd be great, but I don't think they all are. But
yeah,
those are great stories though. To Jason's point, like there's some good stories behind these songs.
Hopefully.
I think, Jason, when you said this one, like it felt like right when we started doing this podcast, this was one of those episodes that you knew was going to come eventually. This felt like this was going to be a superstar episode. Like, any one hit wonder one's going to be fun, but like the 90s is all of our sweet spots, like all three of us to your age point. So it's like, I mean, that's how Donnie and I first started ever talking about music was 90s on 9, Sirius XM. We were making bets about what songs would play within an hour. It was like, we each got like 5 songs and whoever had the most of them that played on the car trip on 90s on 9, like won. Like, so, I mean, this is our music too, like our, 15 to 18 or 12 to 18 to 20 for me, but yeah.
So before I'm very excited. Before we get too deep into this, I have 2 things that I have brought to tonight's episode. The first one is a segment. It can be reoccurring should you choose. I'm going to title the segment, and this segment is going to be Sorry I'm Not Home Right Now, I'm Walking Into Cover Band. And the segment is, I cannot believe that, Rod, you were in a No Doubt cover band that did not have a name.
Oh, we had a name. We just don't remember it.
That's fine. What this segment is I came up with what I think that name should be.
Oh, I love it.
And
I love that.
So I'm going to do what I think it should have been. Donnie, you can do a choice if you want. And then Rod, if you choose to, you can reveal the actual name at the end. But I'll go first because I think a perfect name for a No Doubt cover band is Yes Doubt.
It's so funny you said that because in my mind I was just thinking something like Much Doubt for some reason, but Yes Doubt's better.
Arguably better, right? Yeah.
It wasn't Yes Doubt.
It wasn't Yes Doubt.
But that's
no?
good.
Okay, all right.
It wasn't Yes Doubt.
So we have, and I guess I don't want to. I'll throw back the curtain a little bit. Rod and I have a rolling Google Doc that we have contributed well over 100 themes for mixtapes.
Okay.
Right, of what our plans are for the future. And as we go through it, like I have notes in my phone and I'm constantly adding songs to some of these things that I want to do. And in doing so, I'll give it away now. And just for the 200-ish listeners that we have, there in the future will be an episode called It's a Scatastrophe, which will be your favorite ska songs. So I can't wait for the ska song mixtape. But as we went through that, as we were texting about this, I had to give away all of my best ska band names. So, Rod, I'm hoping your No Doubt cover band, which has nothing to do with No Doubt, was called Spaghetti and Meatballs.
It wasn't.
Which is such a great ska band name. Or Danny Tanner in the Wake Up San Francisco.
And it wasn't. And now you're just plugging your unused ska band names.
I am
Both
just plugging
perfect.
my unused ska band names, but
Nobody appreciates mine, so I'm gonna throw mine out, and then I'm gonna put a poll up on Spotify where we put these up, Donnie. We'll see whose original ska band title wins. But mine was "Pick It Up" in the Put Downs, like pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, right?
Sure.
Every good ska song. Come on, that's a good band name.
Let me tell you something, Rod. I bet you, I'll bet my bottom dollar that Spaghetti and Meatballs gets more votes than
dude. Danny Tanner, the Danny Tanner one's going to win. People nostalgic for Full House, yeah. Hey, Jason. So I legitimately don't remember what the name was, but there was a name. If anybody's listening that was in that with us, because there was like 9 of us, remind me. But I hope. Zach and I also played in. Like it was like every Halloween, and there was something where we went to school called Punk Rock Prom, which was just cover bands, and everybody would dress up like it was prom, and it was at a bar. And then there would just be a series of cover bands. Like the year we did No Doubt, there was like a Fleetwood Mac cover band, right? And they were awesome, like stuff like that. So we did Foo Fighters, we did No Doubt. Zach did Metallica one year.
Wait, you had your, no, wait. Okay, so it was at a bar. It was not an actual high school prom.
It was called Punk Rock Prom, and it was a college thing, and it was cover bands. The name I remember is we did a Tom Petty cover band. And it's probably inappropriate to say, but whatever. This is an explicit podcast, so the dude who sang for it chose the name, and when you read it on a flyer, you don't think anything of it, but until you say it out loud. But it was the Petty Files.
That's great,
like Tom Petty, but the Petty Files, and it was, and we were fucking good too. But
did you guys do ska covers of Tom Petty songs?
No, it was just a Tom Petty cover band.
I want to hear exclusively Tom Petty ska covers.
Absolutely. You know what? It is hilarious that you just said that, because that is a perfect segue into the game that I brought with me tonight. So
can't wait.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with the band. Do you know who Beatallica is?
No,
I don't. They are guys that do Metallica sounding covers of Beatles songs. They're
beautiful.
They're called Beatallica, right? Like one of their albums is called Abbey Load. That's a great fucking name.
That's a great fucking album.
You can't say it without laughing.
It's so good.
I love the idea of band names that are unique like that, right? So what I brought with me is I need you to tell me the name of the band that I'm talking about, and I'm going to give you the name of a song. And the way that this works is I took 2 artists that have the same word in their name, and it overlaps via that word. Okay.
So the song has 2 words that overlap, and we have to tell you that.
I'm going to take the 2 song titles and do a mashup and make it 1 song title, and you need to tell me the name of the band that has the overlapping word.
Okay. We played this game in the back of your van.
We did. So.
Donnie, well, first off, that sounds fucking weird. I just got to let you guys know. And second, you're going to be so much better at this than me, dude.
I'm confident we'll both get them all.
All right. So I'm going to start off easy. I'm going to do this first one as an example. I want to make sure you guys are on the same page.
7 Mary 3 Doors Down.
Right. You've already
nailed it. Done.
They're part of my list, but I'm not going to do that one.
Yeah, totally.
So
almost one-hit wonders.
Almost. So if I were to say the song is Moves Like Youngblood, what is that band?
Okay, so Moves Like Jagger is Maroon
5. I don't know what Youngblood is.
It's Maroon 5 Seconds of Summer.
Hey, I got half of it, Donnie. That's more than you got.
All right.
You're right. You did a great job.
That was the example. So now we're going to get into it. Okay. And you just, first one to shout it out is going to get a point. The song title is Every Morning I Have Georgia on My Mind.
Sugar Ray Charles.
Bam. Nailed it.
Jason, can you reward Rod or I with a piece of apparel with your face on it for the winner of the game?
Absolutely. I'm gonna tally these points real quick. I'm gonna put an R.
Well, I'm not gonna get any.
And I'm gonna put a 1 next to the D. All right.
This is not my forte.
All right. Maybe this next one is.
Okay, let's do 2 more so Rod's got a chance to win.
Fuck you.
and then next one to 2 points wins it.
All right. The song title is Head Like a Little Black Backpack.
Oh, shit.
It's 9 Inch Nails and something else.
Stroke 9 Inch Nails.
He got it. Rod gets a point.
Damn,
Nice.
I got one.
Rod. All right.
Nice.
All right, here's the tiebreaker, and this one's for a piece of Jason merchandise.
Yes. The song title is Don't Go Breaking My Ring of Fire.
Elton Johnny Cash. Elton John Cash.
Boom!
Elton Johnny Cash.
There
Holy
you go,
shit.
Rod. Great job, dude.
Yes.
Thank you, buddy.
Yes. Good job.
There you go.
Good job.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Good job, buddy.
Appreciate that.
Proud of you.
I do things okay every once in a while.
I've got about 25 more of these if you want to do more later, but
Well, we're trying to keep them under an hour, Jay, but appreciate it. I had a hell of a time.
Yeah.
That's fun though. That's fun to do. You do that at your trivia?
I do. Yeah. So I don't write the questions, but I did submit that to my boss of like a full list of like, this could be around. And he was like, oh my God, I love it. And we're going to tweak it a little bit and present it one night.
Very
for sure.
cool.
Rod, fire out those how to make a mixtape guidelines for us, and then let's kick this bitch off.
Yes, sir. I'm going to ramble these off real quick. So again, the guidelines for the mixtape based on the high fidelity rules. You got to have a killer opening track that grabs the listener's attention. Each song should flow smoothly into the next, creating a seamless listening experience. The mixtape should have a good balance of different genres, tempos, and moods. Variety keeps things interesting. The mixtape should tell a story or convey a specific emotion. It should take the listener on a journey. It can't be too obvious, but it can't be too obscure either, unless that's the theme. You can't double up on songs by the same artist. And lastly, the closing track should leave a lasting impression and make the listener crave more. There we go. So, Jason, do you want to go first or do you want to go last?
So it was up until the last episode that I wanted to go last because I'm so excited to hear what you guys chose. But Rod, you mentioned something in the last episode that I'm worried you might grab them. So I'm going to go first.
Yeah, you got to treat it like a draft. I think that's the way to go. You want to get your picks in there first.
Right. I want people to know that I know. So the song that I'm going to choose is called Stuck on You by the band Failure.
You have no idea how much I love this song and how much I love Failure, Jason.
Oh my God, that's awesome. So you did mention them just in passing, and I lit up like a Christmas tree because they are one of those bands that it is definitely a if you know scenario, right? I have I have very personal ties to this band via my brother Sean. So I heard this song on the radio, loved it, bought the album. And I'm the oldest sibling, right? So I came home and like showed my brothers this music that I had purchased, and they didn't like it. And I'm like, you guys are crazy. This album is so good. Because we would like sit in our room and like listen to CDs and throw the football back and forth on our beds and stuff. And they just weren't feeling this band. Fast forward 4 years. That's the age difference between Sean and I is 4 years. So Sean now becomes the age that I was when I purchased the album. And I got a text message from him one day. And it was like, dude, have you ever heard of the band Failure? And I was like, you've got to be shitting me. Like, no way. And so it's been like this ongoing joke that like Sean has to eventually become the age that I am when I discover music in order to enjoy the fact that the band is good. So for that reason alone, I had to include it. The
personal stories. I have every single one of my songs this year has a slightly personal relation. It's not like just fucking Eric Johnson. That's just a cool riff. Like I have some kind of association with all of these or deeper memories with all of these ones. And I think that goes back to that point you were talking about earlier, Jason, where with that 90s, that genre, that year age range of 15 to 18, where everybody's kind of discovering what they want their music to be. I think that's a great example of exactly that.
Donnie, this is where I just happen to know your Myers-Briggs type from work, and this is where our Myers-Briggs type play very differently because mine are all vibes. I don't have direct memories on any of mine, but they all make me feel a certain way when I listen to them. So it's going to be interesting. when I hear Failure, this song is a great example of it too. I would say Failure in general, but there are so many bands coming out right now with that sound.
Yes.
And they're great. They're great bands. Like I have coworkers and people who are more in the know about music than me, but there's so many great bands that come out now sounding like this. And I don't know what would you call this, Jason? Is it like post grunge? Is it like
right?
Like just alternative? It's kind of quasi
like sci-fi alt a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many themes of like space and science that runs throughout them. And there are all these bands. Like I would make a direct correlation to a band like Mute Math, where there is, you can draw lines between like Failure's music and all the other bands that came out behind them doing this like math rock, sci-fi, alt rock thing. And it's primo.
It's a great band.
One of the rules that I was kind of forcing myself to adhere by that isn't a mixtape rule, but is a rule for me for the one-hit wonder genre, is that it's got to be a legit one-hit wonder. There can't be a couple of good songs. It's got to be one and done. And you disagree, Rod?
Well, you can pick your songs however you want.
Sure,
so I don't disagree with your methodology. I think they can have other great songs. They have great albums.
These bands have other great songs and great albums, but like only one song gained any traction.
Well, yeah, but that would be the case here with Failure. Like they only ever had one song that was like ever in any rotation on MTV, for example, or like even on 120 Seconds probably, or
it got
on the radio.
It got 120 minutes, by the way, not seconds.
20 minutes, sorry.
It's okay. It got to number 23 on the Billboard charts in the modern rock tracks, but it was their only song to chart. Like, I think once we have those parameters, is like, did it break top 40 or not? That's your one hit wonder, right?
That makes sense.
It's a great song too. So even if it just turns people listening on to Failure, like anybody who's listening who's into rock at all, of any genre, any like subgenre, like they need to know Failure. I don't like Hum kind of blew up post 90s even more, like
for sure.
Like they were big, but they kind of, I feel like people talk about Hum a lot and people don't talk about Failure. And I put them in very similar veins.
Stars just caught another resurgence. Stars was just being played in commercials or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember where I just like heard Stars gaining a bunch of traction again, but like that was one that was kind of coming back around.
Yeah. So a couple things worthy of note about this song is Paramore, they cover it. They put out their Summer Tick EP, which is a line from the song, and they do a cover of it. And there are two different versions of the song out there. There's the radio/music video edit and the album version, and there is like almost a 40-second difference between the two. Like there's lines of the verse that are missing from the radio edit. So if you're going to check it out, I recommend checking out the album version.
The album version, for sure.
Yeah. Also, awesome. I'm the only one that ever comments on this for some reason. I guess I'm just a visual guy, but kind of a classic 90s album cover too.
Oof.
Like sci-fi throwback, almost like 40s, 50s sci-fi looking drawing as the album cover. Like I love it. Strange Planet, right? This is off Strange Planet.
Yes. Fantastic Planet.
Fantastic Planet. See, I'm always like really close to knowing things.
You're right there.
Just slightly off.
Yeah. Fantastic Planet. Their album cover reminds me of Ren and Stimpy. When I don't know why, like their episodes. I kind of see that. Yeah. There's something about it that is like very Ren and Stimpy to me.
Donnie, I think you're second this episode. I was second last.
Yeah, I'm down. Okay, so again, I talked about it earlier. The buying albums for the song versus buying songs for the album. And Jason, you actually texted me the other day that you were always the album guy, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
But best bang for your buck as far as artists was movie soundtracks. So if you buy a movie soundtrack, you've got, 12 artists. And it's not the artist that I bought it for. But let me tell you something. Big Mountain's cover of Baby I Love Your Way off the Reality Bites soundtrack, which is not my song. Hell of a song, though. But what my song is that also happens to be off this is Stay by Lisa Loeb.
You said you caught me cause you want me, and one day you let me go. You try to give away, keep her, or keep me cause you know you're just so scared to lose.
Oh Oh, nice.
That is a quintessential 90s one-hit wonder. And the association was I was real stoked on Big Mountain's cover of Baby I Love Your Way. So little baby Donnie hopped on his bike, rode to Discount Records in Midlothian, and picked up the Reality Bites soundtrack and was listening to Baby I Love Your Way on repeat, and then ended up skipping around and found Lisa Loeb. And I was like, shit, this is a pretty good song. And that was it. And you know, like I never adventured much beyond that with Lisa Loeb, but that was my exposure to that song. And that like, you know, that kind of resonated as the one-hit wonder from that Reality Bites soundtrack. Great movie, great soundtrack.
Absolutely.
Hell of a song.
And killer opening, like everybody knows those first two opening lines, whether they know the rest of the song.
Oh, totally.
You just need those first two words. The you say.
You say. That's all you need. Yeah.
You say.
She may be a one-hit wonder, but she did go on to do some killer Geico commercials. Just to throw that out there.
Yeah, she did. Did she do anything else?
I think, I mean, she still puts out music, probably. I think she's still like a working musician for sure.
She's got to be.
I say for sure, like I actually know. I don't know. I'm assuming that.
Yeah, I mean, she's still active. She's still putting out music.
I know. I mean, this is like a little 90s ish of me to even bring it up, but I know she did some acting for a while because she plays a reporter in the 1999 film House on Haunted Hill.
Dang, deep cut.
Yeah. Do you remember the roller coaster scene at the beginning of the movie where like
and that with the fake elevator spoiler?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
She's I haven't watched it yet, man. Come on, dude.
God. You should see the look of disappointment on Donnie's face. Yeah, she's the one in the elevator.
Yep. I do remember that scene. I just don't. Yeah. Awesome. Looks like she's made a bunch of like children's music albums, which is cool. You know,
that's cute.
If you look and sound like her, you probably should.
Good job.
She does, dude. She looks like, you know, like a first grade teacher. And I don't mean that at all in like as a disparaging way. She just looks like an elementary school teacher for some reason. She has a quality about her.
Yeah. Which
kind of makes Stay, I don't know. It's just a really sweet song. Like a lot of that kind of genre in the 90s, like, can you make a song like that anymore? It's like legitimately just really sweet and not like
singer-songwriter, acoustic-y.
I mean, look at it, like, you know, Ashley brought her up. Look at Olivia Rodrigo. I mean, I don't know that it's the same, like very sweet, but like Olivia Rodrigo, that girl is a songwriter.
My daughter hates how much I listen to Olivia Rodrigo.
God, it's so
Your daughter hates how much you listen to.
I love her. And she's like, why are you listening to her music? That's definitely not for you. And I was like, I don't know. It sounds so great to me. I love it. Yeah.
Settle down, gatekeeper.
Yeah, right.
Donnie, don't think we didn't notice how you snuck like an extra pick in. That's a fake pick by saying like I bought the album for this other one-hit wonder song that I'm not picking. Like as I
sneak that pick in.
Yeah, as I start writing down "Baby I Love Your Way" and scratch it out when you say, "Oh, it's not my pick."
In Rob Harvilla fashion, where I just sneak in a bunch of 90s songs that I want to mention.
Let me just mention 4 or 5 songs before I get to my actual pick, just so you know how many songs I had on my list that I wasn't able to pick.
You're not wrong.
I see you. I see what you're doing. My first pick, I will say before I get into this that I'm actually taking the reverse strategy of you, Jason, even though I've recommended this strategy now to multiple guests. And I think it's probably the right strategy, which is to go first, get your picks out of the way. But I heard that you're just a very much like an alt rock guy, and most of my natural picks were alt rock picks. That's where I come from too.
Excellent.
And I'm kind of like, I'm actually going to not do some of the alt rock stuff. I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed that maybe Jason picks the same songs as me, and then I just
nice. We'll see.
I get the benefit of feeling like I had more than 4 songs on the playlist.
Sure,
if that happens. So this is not an alt rock song, but my first pick is Steal My Sunshine by Lynn.
I know it's up for me. If you steal my sunshine, making sure I'm not in too deep. If you steal my sunshine.
Ooh, nice.
Like I said earlier, Donnie, I don't really have like necessarily a personal story behind this, outside of actually buying this album because of the song and enjoying the album. It's a really good album, but like they are massively a one-hit wonder, and this song is just that perfect, like it has that total like summer 90s summer vibe.
Totally.
Summer's the perfect time for a one-hit wonder too, because you're just going to drive around with the radio on. So if you can get summer airplay in the 90s on the radio, you have an even better chance of having a big hit, right? Like that, I think it was 98 that this came out, but everybody was listening to this constantly. Like it was on every radio station.
I was going to say that was on every radio station. You would hear that song on alt rock radio, but you'd also totally hear it on pop radio.
Yep. And the video is playing constantly on probably both MTV and VH1. And, you know, I don't know if Fuse or anything else had started at this time, but if it had, it was probably on that too. Like it was just, the song was everywhere.
There was that creepy lore that they were brother and sister. I think they are brother and sister.
They are brother and sister. They are brother and sister. Was the creepy lore that people thought they were like together first, but then they found out they were brother and sister?
No, I just remember like the dynamic of their relationship. Like Rod, you've explained the Roderick and his sister dynamic of like we're not super close, and me and my sister weren't super close. So to see a dude riding around on a moped with like a sister cheering him on over his shoulder, it was like, well, that's not how brothers.
It's funny that you say that, Donnie, because I forget his name, but the guy in Lynn who wrote this said that he wrote this song because him and his sister hadn't spoken in like 7 months. Like they had a falling out and hadn't spoken. And he was at a rave and heard like the disco song that they sample in this. He heard it and it made him think of her. And then he went and wrote a song about it and like hit her up and they reconnected. And so there's like a sweet story behind it. And then she sang on it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's got that one hit wonder thing though, where like, I guess he recorded the demo and nobody in the band liked it. Like even he was like, this isn't going to make the album. Like this isn't good. Put it in a box, like as you would back in the day when things weren't digital. Like he had the tape in a box under his bed kind of a thing. And it was like they recorded it again last minute to fill the space or whatever. And then of course that becomes the hit. That feels like a big common one hit wonder story. Was like, it wasn't even going to make the album. But it became the hit. And it's probably because it's like, well, if the rest of your album wasn't a hit, then maybe the music you're making isn't hit worthy, but this song that doesn't fit what you do, you know what I'm saying? Like
that is a tale. Totally. Yeah.
But yeah, this song just puts me in a good mood. Like I still listen to this pretty regularly. Like if I need a pick me up, you know,
great. Like happy. You described it.
It's another one that has two versions because there's the radio edit and then there's the album version that includes like all the talking.
And I love the talking.
That's my favorite part of the song. I
love the talking.
Is the talking part. Yeah, yeah.
Do you think she likes butter tarts?
Butter tarts? Yeah, it's so random. But when I hear that song in my head, that's the part that is 100% playing.
So good.
Fantastic pick. Does that go back to me?
Yeah.
It goes back to you.
Excellent. So I am going to like make a lot of things come full circle with my next pick. It is called You Suck by a band called The Murmurs.
You paralyze my mind, and for that you suck.
Do you guys know this song? Does that ring any bells?
Yes. No, I don't. I'm thinking of something different.
I have a very distinct memory of sitting in my art class freshman year of high school, and the teacher
totally know this song.
Yeah. Okay.
Keep going.
Yeah.
I totally know this song.
So, my teacher lets us listen to the radio, and we chose Q101 to listen to, the local Chicagoland alternative station. And this song is playing, and I'm singing along because I enjoyed the song. And I'm sitting across the table from this girl that's watching me sing the song. And she's looking at me like I'm absolutely out of my mind. And then I finally like lock eyes with her. And she's like, why do you listen to this kind of music? And so I have that memory of like somebody just straight up calling me out for enjoying it. But so you brought up Stay by Lisa Loeb. As we know, as fans of 60 Songs That Explain the 90s, that is the song that Ryder Strong chose to do on 60 Songs That Explain the 90s with Rob Harvilla, right? The lead singer of The Murmurs appears in an episode of Boy Meets World. It's season 4, episode 5, and it's called Shallow Boy. And it was at the height of this song's popularity that she guest starred on Boy Meets World. She plays a love interest for Eric in the episode. And I'm bringing all of that up to tell you that I am the reason that Ryder Strong appeared on an episode of 60 Songs That Explain the 90s.
Humble
How
brag.
did this happen? How did this happen?
So there are two podcasts that I am absolutely obsessed with. One of them is obviously 60 Songs That Explain the 90s. The other one is Pod Meets World.
How to make a mixtape.
How to make, well, yeah. That's my new obsession now that, now that Rob's moved on. But Pod Meets World. I grew up watching Boy Meets World. I loved it. And I love listening to them talk about it. Okay. They do some banter at the beginning of the episode. And there was an episode where they're talking about what other podcasts they listen to. And Ryder Strong mentions that he listens to 60 Songs That Explain the 90s. I immediately, I would DM Rob Harvilla often on Instagram. We've chatted for years now. We've talked back and forth on Instagram. And so I sent him a message saying, congratulations, Sean Hunter listens to your podcast. And he responded and was like, oh, I had no idea, blah, blah, blah. Well, then fast forward like a month and Ryder Strong is on an episode of 60 Songs That Explain the 90s. So that was like in November when he made his appearance. And then at the end of November, I believe, of 2022. And then in December, I messaged Rob Harvilla. I was like, I know that this is not what happened, but in my brain, I want to think because I DM'd you about Ryder messaging or Ryder mentioning your podcast, that is the reason that you chose to have him. And he messaged me back. He was like, take full credit. It was because you DM'd me that all of that set that ball in motion. So because of that, I now have this very like personal tie to this song. Not only did I have that memory that I mentioned earlier, but also because of all of this stuff that has transpired over the past couple of years that is kind of this song centric. It has become more important to me.
Dang. Man, you're just like a little bit of a celebrity at this point. You know, we always talk about guests with credentials, and I mean, you're credential-fied with that one.
Influencing Rob Harvilla at any level equals credentials in my book.
The fact that
If you want to shoot him a message that says, hey, I've got these guys that started this really good podcast.
Spoiler alert, I may have already done that, but we'll see.
Hey,
we'll see what comes of it.
Good looking out.
Let's hope that he's one of our unique listeners.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great pick, Jay. I'm excited. Once I Googled once I Wikipedia'd the song, I'm like, yep, I absolutely know that song. So it's a cool, definite 90s one hit wonder. Great song, great girl group for sure. So great choice all the way around.
Yeah, they did. They were able to make it as far as Lilith Fair. I guess they played like 1 year, but then like disbanded, but she's still in music and the typical story of a one hit wonder. Yeah.
Nice. This next one from my choice is my first, what I thought was a cool kid concert. So my first live concert with parents was New Kids on the Block. First concert without parents was Bush and Veruca Salt. And first, what I thought was cool kid concert, because it wasn't like a massive arena venue, was Jimmy's Chicken Shack. And the song is Do Right. Yeah. So that is my song. Went and saw him at the House of Blues. Couldn't tell you the opener, but that was like my first cool kid concert, that wasn't like, they were a little bit more underground. They weren't the mainstream band, like I know they were getting like mainstream play, but Do Right is a great fucking song. And I remember going to see him at the House of Blues. That was my first time at like a smaller venue that wasn't an arena show. I mean, outside of like local music, and I remember being blown away by the sound at House of Blues. I remember being blown away at like not Bush, like a really cool band. And it's a great fucking song. They put on a great show. The song came out in 1999. So, I was graduating high school, like I was at that 17-ish age where it was like, probably drove to the city by myself. Not like, like with friends. I'm not a fucking loser. I didn't go to the concert by myself. Don't make fun of me. But with friends, went to the concert and like, it was a great show. So Jimmy's Chicken Shack Do Right is my one hit wonder choice for that one.
You just can't get away from the chicken rock, dude. Like you just keep finding new ways.
Dude, I didn't even fucking think about it. Oh god, that's funny.
It's so good. It's so good. And talk about a song that like it's 25 years old, but that song sounds as fresh today as it does in 1999. It is a timeless song.
Absolutely.
Well. There's going to be a ton of people listening to this who have no idea what this song is until they listen to it, and then they're going to, which is also what makes a great one-hit wonder, is like, oh yeah, that song.
Sure.
Like people are going to know this song. Like this song. This was in some movies, I'm pretty sure too. I'd have to double check that.
Absolutely.
If it wasn't, it should have been, because it sounds like a total like
90s movie
soundtrack song.
For sure.
Absolutely.
What's crazy is that the rest of their albums sound a little bit more Incubus-y and less pop punk rocky. Jason, do you disagree?
Oh, I have not listened to. That's the only song I know. Tragic one-hit wonder story.
If you listen to it, it's a little bit more like it's obviously much more serious than this kind of like pop punk rock-ish type song. But it's they've got the two albums that I listen to. They all have, the first one is Bring Your Own Stereo, and I think the other one is Licking the Salmonella Envelope or something along those lines. I can't remember the title of the other album.
Oh, yeah. I think you got it. Yeah.
Salmonella Envelope.
It's something like that.
It's something like that. But again, this band is great. They're one of those one-hit wonder bands that was like, this song was a gateway, and then I became an album listener versus a track listener. And it's a fun song to listen to. I think it's got its spot in one-hit wonder 90s stardom for sure.
Never would have been on my radar, Donnie, but
hey,
never. I remember this song. I remember it's like I had to search it when you said it, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I remember. I didn't have this record, but my friend David, I remember he had this record. He was actually bringing it a little bit full circle. He was a massive Bloodhound Gang fan, my friend David. So nice. Bringing it back to the intro, great 90s style hit.
Quintessential.
I was trying to see if it was in any movies. It's not important, but it feels like such like a movie soundtrack, like 90s fun, could be Clueless.
American Pie type romp.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Roderick, you're up. You're up, my dude. What do you got?
Right. I'm going with Save Tonight by Eagle Eye Cherry.
Save tonight. Fight the break of dawn. Come tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be gone. Save tonight. Fight the break of dawn.
It was on every single list as I started to research 90s one-hit wonders. It was on every single list.
Yeah, there were a few of this. Like there was a few that I bucketed in that kind of like what I, in my own mind, call like 90s pop rock. There's this like specific style of like very friendly, accessible rock, only rock in that it was mostly like guitar music, right? But like rock in the lightest sense, but like very radio friendly, all listener friendly pop rock that only really kind of existed in the 90s at this level. Like it's like that, like this is a one hit wonder version, but it's like that Gin Blossoms territory, right? Like that kind of stuff to me.
What's crazy about this song is that this song never changes. The verse and the chorus are the same the entire time. The only thing that changes are the vocals. So if you go back and listen to this song, it's the same chord progression through the entire song the entire time.
Some great songs do that, man.
Really?
Yeah, there's no bridge, there's nothing. It's the same the entire track.
Hey, Free Fallin' by Tom Petty, it's the same the entire song. You don't realize it because it's just a well-written song.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Sometimes. And maybe it's nothing to do with the sound. Maybe it's what you said earlier, Jason. It's just like the time in your life when you're hearing this music is going to be forever ingrained in your memory. So like a song like this puts me in a mood. It just puts me in a feeling of like this weird, like back in the day nostalgia that's inherently nice, inherently feels good.
Right.
It's also just a well-written song. Like it's a really nice song about wanting to spend as much time with you can with this person before you have to leave. And it's just a good song. I didn't know until I researched this that he's Swedish. You cannot tell in the song.
Yeah, absolutely can't tell. And Eagle Eye Cherry is the guy's birth name. Like, it's not a stage name.
Oh, shit.
That is his name. Yeah.
Well, that's obviously a very traditional Swedish name.
If you know anything about the country of Sweden.
Yes. Of the Swedish cherries.
Right.
I was in a band in high school that wrote a song and we were like fucking stoked. Like it was like we thought it was a really good song. And then come to find out, like, I don't know, roughly a couple weeks after we wrote it. It was the exact same song. The Eagle Eye Cherry song to the chord progression. We were like, oh shit, no wonder it's good. It's because this is the same song and we didn't realize it. But yeah, it was kind of a bust.
Well,
But-
I'm going to name drop a song that I didn't pick like you did earlier, Donnie. And I wasn't going to do this until you just said that. But for the whole time, I had Teenage Dirtbag on my list.
Oh, great call.
Because Spotify said it was 99. And then when I looked it up, it came out in 2000. Everywhere on the internet says it came out in 2000. So I took it off my list. But while I was listening to that, and I've listened to that song a million times, the music to that is the exact same as Lullaby by Sean Mullins. And so,
really?
Or whatever his name is. Yeah, like
totally.
the verse guitar part, not the whole song, but like the verse guitar part. And I'm just like, and then I can't get out of my head. And I'm really sorry if I ruined Teenage Dirtbag for anybody now, but because every time I've listened to it preparing for this, he's singing the Teenage Dirtbag verse, and I just start thinking everything's gonna be all right. Rockabye, and like that,
but you
that
gotta do it
going
in that squeaky voice, right?
And I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. So I guess maybe what it is the verse guitar is the same as the chorus guitar for Lullaby, maybe, or close enough. But I said it to somebody else to make sure I wasn't crazy, and they listened and they were like, no, you are absolutely right. That is the same. And I'm like,
that's
son
another
of a bitch.
huge one-hit wonder. That's another great 90s one-hit wonder.
Well,
dude,
sorry if I took that, but I didn't have it on my list. It was on my long list.
Rockabye was? Or
it's Lullaby, even though he says Rockabye in the song.
Yeah.
Song's Lullaby.
Huh.
Right?
Are you? I don't know. Why are you asking me?
Yeah, it is.
It's Lullaby. Yeah.
Did he just secretly sneak 2 in there?
I sure
it wasn't
did.
A secret. He was boastful about it in the beginning. Jason, we're back to you, buddy.
I will go next. This next band, there's a kind of a great story around their inception. And the song is called Hello, Hello, and it is by a band called Talk Show.
She lies so good that she believes them too.
Ring any bells for you guys at all?
It's going to be one of those ones that when I look it up, I'm going to get it. But for right now, it doesn't.
So this is 97, and it is all of the guys from Stone Temple Pilots minus Scott Weiland, because at the time, so STP, they have Core, Purple, and Tiny Music all predating this. Scott in 97 is like full-blown heroin addiction. He needs to get into rehab, but the rest of the guys in the band all want to do another record. So they do so, and they bring in this guy. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's either Coots or Couts. His name is Dave. Coots or Couts. He was in a band, and they brought him on. So it's a Stone Temple Pilots album. It has everything that Tiny Music has musically, because it's literally the guitarist, bassist, and drummer for STP. The song, it did have some 120-minute play. It had a music video. I don't know if it charted, but the guys, they opened for the Foo Fighters on tour in 97. They opened for Aerosmith. So they had a little bit going on for them. So I did a little bit of research, and back in 2022, Dave Couts, however you say his last name, did an interview with Rolling Stone about what it was like at the time to deal with the backlash of not being Scott Weiland. And he says, at one point, Atlantic Records came to the studio to hear the Talk Show record after it was mixed. The guy walks into the break room where I was sitting with Dean, who's one of the guys from SDP. He didn't even ask who I was. He just walked past me and said, Dean, when are you getting back with Scott? He hadn't even heard the record yet. I'm just thinking to myself, who the fuck is this? So they made a good album. They had a great single. But because it wasn't Scott and it wasn't STP, Atlantic Records was like, we don't give a shit. And that drama around that is what is so fascinating to me with regards to the song.
It's got to be hard. You're setting yourself up for like failure at that point. Even if you made the most incredible record ever, just because it's just the singer that gets replaced, and it's not just a singer; it's one of the like voices of a genre. You know what I mean? And that's not anything against those guys. And I actually do know this now that I look it up. I remember this record. Like I know this cover, like with the like the puppets, the talk show
puppets on the front.
Stuff.
Yeah.
I absolutely know this. And that's got to be hard. It's almost to the point where you wish those guys just didn't do it. It's like, don't just be the same band. Like maybe just all go do your own projects while he's doing that. But I understand why you would, because you probably had the creative thing going. You all work well together. Like, why wouldn't we just keep writing music while Scott's dealing with this stuff? But that's tough. That's tough for them.
That happened a couple of times, didn't it? Weren't there a couple bands where, like, wasn't that what Audioslave was? Or no, Audioslave was Chris Cornell with...
No, that's kind of what Audioslave was.
Yeah, they were just,
it's Rage with Chris Cornell.
That's right.
But,
okay.
But their replacement, quote unquote, replacement singer is Chris Cornell. So like it's...
Yeah, you're okay.
Yeah, you're fine there. So what's even more fascinating is that is not the first... I'm sorry, that was the first time, but it's not the only time that the guys from STP did that. They also did it again in the early aughts, and they called it Army of Anyone. And once again, it's the three guys from STP without Scott, but this time they brought in the lead singer of Filter.
No
the guy
shit.
whose brother, the guy whose brother is the Liquid Terminator, and he was in 9 Inch Nails and stuff. That dude. Yeah. They brought him in. Yeah,
crazy. Deep cuts, Jay. Deep cuts that cut deep. My next pick, I had just gotten my driver's license. Specifically, I can tell you the scene as vividly as ever. Just got my driver's license. Jump in at the time it was my mom's 1992 Caprice Classic, which eventually became my 1992 Caprice Classic. It was a boat of a car. It had just started snowing in Chicago in the winter, rear wheel drive car. And I was responsible the night that I got my driver's license for driving 2.5 blocks to the local Nancy's Pizza to pick up the pizza. And the song that was playing as I spun out the car immediately was Local H, Bound to the Floor.
And you just don't get it. You keep it copacetic and you learn to accept it. You know, you're so pathetic and you don't.
Hell yes.
It worked. And I kept one of my choices off the list and you picked it.
One of yours. Great job. Local H, Bound to the Floor was playing on Q101 radio. Again, Jason and I both grew up in Chicago. So driving 2.5 blocks, first night I have my driver's license, just snowed. My mom's fault for letting me take the car. And I came around a corner way hotter than I should have because it was my first time, driving out and about, and spun out that big boat of a 92 Caprice Classic in the first shot. And that was the song that was playing on the radio. Great one-hit wonder. Great Chicago band.
Yeah.
Great fucking song. And belongs on any huge 90s one-hit wonder mixtape for sure.
I love this song. It's everything you just said. It's so good. It's like not even like far and away their biggest hit, right?
Oh, for sure.
If you weren't into alt rock, you might not have heard of Local H, but if you were into alt rock, people knew Local H. Like they were known, like they had the whole kind of 2-person gimmick, right? It was like just a drummer and a guitar player. That whole thing, like they still play, like they still tour. They're like one of those like college town bands now, right? That still goes out. But I was deep in these guys, Donnie. Like they are a one-hit wonder, straight up for sure. But like I had multiple Local H albums that I listened to regularly. Pack Up the Cats, great album. Hey Killer, great album. Like As Good as Dead, which is what Bound for the Floor is on, great album. Like I wish these guys had gotten bigger. I think the timing was just off, but I'm glad they had a hit. I'm glad they had a song that got them on the radio.
Why do you think the timing was off? I think that it was crazy. It was 1996. Like, I feel like that would have fallen in perfectly. I just don't know why they didn't gain more traction.
It's the only explanation I have is maybe it was oversaturated, the sound. Maybe they didn't stand out enough.
That's true. That makes a lot of sense.
They did have the live gimmick, but it's not really a good gimmick. Like not having a bass probably doesn't make you sound great live.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's
right.
true.
Like, cause they weren't the White Stripes. They didn't sound like a 2-person band. They sounded like a full band, but then live it was just a guitar player and he put bass pickups on his guitar too, to try to get like low end and stuff. But like when you listen to the song, like listen to this song, there's a bass line, there's a bass guitar being played. There's a bass line. You can't replicate that live without a bass player. So there's no way they lived up to this live. The rumors I always heard was that, and if you ever listen to this somehow, dude, like this is not my personal feelings. I just always heard the singer was like an asshole and like couldn't keep enough people in a band around him.
For sure. I've heard
Who
that
knows
story
if that's
as well.
a rumor, you've heard that too.
There's our first bad review on the podcast. Thanks, Rod. We had we had 7 5-star reviews and you had to fuck it up with that one.
Well, if it's a legend, right? Who knows if it's true, but if people are talking about your band, they say there's no bad press, Donnie, there's no bad press. We're talking about Local H right now.
I guess. Fingers crossed that Scott Lucas doesn't get pissed and decide to thumbs down our podcast. So
great song though.
Scott Lucas, I think you're great. Don't let Rod's opinion be of any. We don't both feel that way.
Well, I can cross that off my honorable mention list there, Donnie.
Hell yeah, no problem, Rod. Friends helping friends. But just Friends with P by The Replacements, not on my list.
Sorry, The Rentals, not The Replacements.
I'm sorry.
That's also a great song. Another nice drop there, Donnie.
Yeah, for sure. Also, don't confuse them with The Refreshments, Banditos.
Banditos? So just how far down do you want to go?
Jason, we finally somebody's singing on the podcast. I love it.
So this song, this was an entire part of my personality in the 90s that I used to get made fun of for. And now I feel vindicated because it's so cool to be into like trip hop now, justifiably, but Six Underground by Sneaker Pimps.
Fuck, that's a great song,
is
dude.
God damn. Awesome song. It's by far their only charting song, their only hit. There wasn't a big enough market for that sound, and obviously like Portishead and Tricky and that stuff had like a bigger bigger albums,
so
right? Bigger songs
for that kind of music.
Exactly, but this
Portishead to this day still makes me feel like I have my T-shirt on backwards. Like Portishead is one of those bands that just makes me physically a little bit uncomfortable. And Sneaker Pimps are, in my opinion, a slightly like a better version. Like I love Portishead; they're fantastic, they're great. But it's one of those bands where it's like, is my shirt on backwards? Did I do this wrong? Did I get dressed wrong today?
That's you, man. Because I love Portishead. Like those, I'm listening.
That's you dumb idiot.
That's you. That's you, man. I'm listening to Portishead records front to back, dude. They're so good. They're set. They're depressing. Like I'm not putting those on like a nice sunny day and expecting my mood to stay up. But Sneaker Pimps are great. Like the record this was on is fantastic, but definitely their only hit in the US, at least. I will preface that, right? I don't know what this did in the UK. I could see this band having maybe had more hits in the UK, but in the US, this was it. It was on the Saint soundtrack too. Speaking of soundtracks, Donnie, in the 90s, you remember that movie with Val Kilmer?
Is that Val Kilmer? Yeah,
Val Kilmer is the Saint. Yeah, I knew it was on a soundtrack. I couldn't think of which one. There it is.
Yeah, so this was to your point earlier, Jason. This was number 45 on Billboard. Not just Billboard, not even the modern. I think it hit the modern rock chart too, but on the Hot 100, this was top 50. I don't remember where I first heard this. I had one friend in high school who was listening to this kind of stuff. I bet his name was Sean. I bet he turned me on to this. I definitely saw The Saint, but I don't remember getting this from like the Saint soundtrack. You know what I mean? Like I remember listening to the actual album this was on, not the single. Yeah. Like dude had the CD, and I remember listening to this record, but I love this song.
Yeah, this definitely had radio play back in the day. It just came naturally to people. Yeah.
Why does this song make me think of Super Bon Bon by Soul Coughing? Is there a reason? Is there some kind of affiliation? Were they on something together? Is there like a soundtrack that other than The Saint, or is there like a now that's what I call music whatever that this might have been on.
Like everywhere you turned in the 90s, there were compilation CDs made available.
That had to be it.
I feel like that's got to be where you're tying this together.
Dude, no, I know what it is because I had the record. Well, it's not Super Bon Bon though, so maybe this isn't it. But Soul Coughing and Sneaker Pimps were both on the Spawn soundtrack.
That had to be it.
Which was one of those like Judgment Day style soundtracks that was mashups, right? So it was like it was like Soul Coughing and somebody, right? It was like
for sure.
You know, the Dust Brothers and Ice
that had to
Cube
be it.
or something. Like I don't know what the pairs were, right? But like both of them had songs.
Filter
on the Spawn
and
soundtrack.
the Chemical Brothers had
that was the big one, right?
Yeah.
Yep, that was the big one. Atari Teenage Riot was on that.
Jay, last track.
Last track, I'm going to hit you with a band out of Philadelphia. The song is called Weird Out and is by a band called Dandelion. These guys, they started in the late 80s and like really struggled to find their footing. They kind of got lumped into the grunge sound. It charted. It got up to number 14 on the modern rock tracks. They made their way onto Lollapalooza in 95. But one of the funny things about this band is one of their claims to fame was they were on a soundtrack in the 90s. Not this song, but the previous album had a song on it. And that soundtrack is for the movie Brain Scan. And I know how Donnie feels about that movie.
Jesus Christ, man. Rod, have you ever seen the movie Brain Scan?
Nope.
It was Edward Furlong's follow-up to Terminator 2. Edward Furlong's fresh under the scene, kills it with Terminator 2. Great fucking movie. The movie that comes after that is a movie called Brain Scan. And it couldn't be worse. It is one of the worst fucking movies I've ever seen. It is so bad.
From my end, can I mute Donnie's mic? Is there a way to do that on here? Or
no. Do you like it, Jay? Do you really like the movie?
I'm the reason that Sean likes it. Yeah. We've watched it several times. Yeah.
Recently?
No, not within the last 15 years. Yeah.
Yeah. It hasn't been good for more than that. So, man, is it a bad movie.
Dandelion sounds like a great name for an emo, like a heavy emo band.
For sure. So they disbanded immediately after they put out this record in 96. And since then, there is an emo band that has scooped up that name. If you look up Dandelion on, it's not Spotify because they come up, but what is it? Bandcamp. If you look up Dandelion on Bandcamp, there's a newer band making emo music called Dandelion. But back in 2008, a writer for Consequence of Sound, his name is Alex Young, he talked about how the lead singer's vocals sounded especially Cobain-esque on this track, and you can tell there is like a sound that they were going for. Alex Young, he did say at the end of the article, he said, it reminds us that there are more to grunge than Nirvana and Pearl Jam, which I thought was a really cool way to summarize that time in music.
What year did this come out?
This is
95.
95. Yep. It's good stuff. Do recommend.
Nice. All right, dudes. My last pick is I recently went on a fitness journey where I decided to get in shape. But before I did, I built a playlist of the amount of songs that would it take for me to run a certain amount of distance. And for whatever reason, most of them were kind of alt-rocky, but then there was also Tears for Fears and INXS on there. I don't know what prompted this playlist, but it's been called Runnin' on Spotify for me for forever. In this order of songs, it was like the same playlist that I went running to every single time for no reason. And for whatever reason, Walking in Memphis by Mark Cohen ended up on that playlist.
When I was walking in Memphis, I was walking with my feet 10 feet off a beam. Walking in Memphis, but do I really feel the way I feel?
Wow.
So this is not necessarily like a 90s alt rock or a 90s grunge or a 90s cool like song. It is like totally a kind of adult contemporary, but shit, it's a good song. So for whatever reason, Walking in Memphis ended up on that playlist. And mark my words, I feel like this is going to be one of those songs that one of like those kind of mainstream pop country guys is going to recover, just like with what the dude did with Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. Like in the next 3 years, this one will be next. And
all eyes are on those kind
popular
of songs right now. Yeah,
totally. Like, you know, we talked about on the first episode, it's what Rascal Flatts did with Life is a Highway. It's whatever. Is that dude's name? Luke? No, it's not Luke Bryant. What's that dude's name that did Fast Car?
Luke Combs.
Luke Combs.
Okay.
With what he did with Fast Car, mark my words, Walking in Memphis is going to be one of those songs in the next 3 years for sure.
Lone Star has covered this.
Really?
Yeah.
The
1991.
Maybe I'm Amazed, guys.
I think I gave that on like a Delilah shout out, like in the 90s, like love songs with Delilah, where you try and call in and send a song out. I think I did.
You say that, and I immediately hear that woman's voice in my head.
Yeah, totally. Delilah. I think that I did this song on a Delilah call out. No, not this song, but Lone Star, Maybe I'm Amazed.
Oh, nice.
Not Walking in Memphis. That would be a really random love song to send to somebody. But the other Lone Star track for sure. But either way, Walking in Memphis, it's just one of those songs that it's just a great song. There's not really a whole lot to it. It's like fun storytelling and just a good ass song that ended up on that running playlist for some reason. And I just hear it every time and just chug through a run. So,
but that's the song was kind of low BPM. Like,
totally. Maybe if I'm running fast enough, I feel like I'm getting somewhere faster. I don't know. I don't really have an explanation. It's a great 90s one-hit wonder. It's a song that I love. It's on a run-in playlist, just no G for whatever reason.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Of course, right?
Hey, this was a Song of the Year Grammy nominee.
Walking in Memphis?
1992.
Oh, that was, Is that the year that it was everything? Was that the weird year that we recapped that we talked about recently?
No, was it? I mean, I'd have to look up who else was nominated for Song of the Year that year, but
the man I am tonight. That is
for sure.
That's a vibe, big time.
Maybe that's what I'm getting to for the run. Is like I'm getting to that verse or that part.
It does build up. So if you need a little extra adrenaline, that's not a bad.
What it is.
Yeah, it's inspiring. Oh, that's funny. All right, I'm closing it out this time, huh?
Closing it out, and then we got honorable mentions. What do you got, Rod?
Well, I am closing it out with an alt rock song. So I saved the one that I had for last. Kind of just feels obvious to me, maybe, but Flagpole Sitta by Harvey Danger.
Yeah.
It is like the alt rock one-hit wonder, go-to one-hit wonder, right? And it's deservedly so because one, it's a very, very good song, but it was such just the only thing close to it. You know, it was everywhere. It was a huge hit, and that was it for them.
I feel like that's one of those songs that we've talked about. I would love to see if streaming was a thing in that year. I would love to see how many times that song was streamed the year it came out, because you're right, Rod. That song was absolutely everywhere.
Yeah. You know, you can get like those radio play stats, not very quickly, like you have to dig some, but we could probably find out. You could probably find out how much it played on the radio. Remember, we did that with Smooth one time, Donnie. we had a debate going.
Jason, just so you know, Smooth by Carlos Santana and Rob Thomas was one of the most played songs of the 90s, and it came out in 1999. One of the most played songs of the 90s, and it came out in 1999.
Yep.
That's incredible.
And like the most common joke is that if you go into a Jewel Osco or a local Kroger right now, that song is playing. There's a 100% chance. It's playing right now. For sure.
It's playing right now. It's playing right now at multiple establishments in your town.
If you go to a Chili's, if you go to a TGI Fridays, Smooth by Carlos Santana and Rob Thomas is playing.
Yep.
But, you know, what I like about this song is not just how catchy and singable it is. It's a great karaoke song. It's one of my karaoke songs. It's pretty smart song. Like it's pretty intelligent lyrics, like for like a one-hit wonder song, and it's just not a typical one-hit wonder sound to me. Like this band sounds like a band that should have gotten more popular, and I don't know why they didn't. This is another one. I had this album, Where Have All the Merrymakers Gone? I had this album, and this is not the only good song on that album. It's just the only one that hit for whatever reason. Part of me wonders if they were actually at a disadvantage being a Seattle band, like post grunge, if it wasn't cool anymore to be from Seattle. But then again, they had this song as a massive hit, so they couldn't have been that unlucky.
Well, you weren't allowed to be from there and not have a specific sound, right? Like that was the issue. Like the presidents of the United States of America, I think they ran into that same issue. They're from Seattle, but because they weren't making quote unquote radio friendly grunge music, they got like ostracized for it.
Supposedly that's what the song's about. The song's about being from the birthplace of grunge and not being grunge and being ostracized for it. Like, and then the music video is that. The music video is them walking through all these like cliquey club scenes that are really popular, right? They go through like a grunge room and like a goth room and like a rave room, and then they end up playing for nobody at the end. Like it's a pretty on the nose like music video, right? But like from what I gather, they're not they like looked up to like Mudhoney and Nirvana and stuff. Like they were proud to be influenced by those bands. They weren't saying like fuck grunge, but they were not a grunge band. They're also Pixies, and they're a little bit, punk and whatever. So yeah, I don't get that from the lyrics, but that's what they said about the song, is that it's about being like not grunge, but being expected to be grunge. So
I'm excited to go back and watch that video for sure.
Yeah, you've got me interested. That's going to be a YouTuber later when I'm lying in bed, kind of.
And it's got that 90s super saturated colors.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, you know what I'm saying? So. Like blow out the tubes in your TV. The colors are so bright.
What I like about that song is one of the things I love in music in general is dated pop culture references in songs. Like in Beyonce's Crazy in Love, she says, "I'm kind of hoping you'd page me right now." And I explained that to my daughter, who's 19 in 2024, and she was like, "What? What is kind of hoping you'd page me right now?" And so I had to like explain that. And in this song, when he says, "I want to publish zines," like there is an entire generation of people that don't even know what he's talking about when he says, "I want to publish zines." I think that's fascinating.
So true. Yeah, I think about that a lot whenever there's a song. Like there's a very common theme in older and like pre-cell phone songs about waiting for a phone call, like waiting by the phone, waiting for your call. And it's like people that grew up in cell phone eras don't understand what waiting for. It wasn't that you get to live your life waiting for a call. You literally had to be next to a physical phone and put your life on hold, hoping that if you were actually waiting for a phone call, like a totally different thing. You can't go about your day because you don't have your phone on you. You have to sit in your room and wait for that shit.
Yep.
Jay, you want to go first with honorable mentions? You want to kick us off with the song that didn't make the cut, since you have the most obscure shit that most people like, that
I do. But you're both going to kiss my ass because multiple times you doubled down, so I'm going to double down on this as well. I have two. It's Mighty KC by Four Squirrels from 1995, about Kurt Cobain. Super tragic story about why that band doesn't exist anymore. If you want to do a Wikipedia deep dive on Four Squirrels, have a box of Kleenex nearby. And Mother by Tracy Bonham from 1996. Those were
that one I would have
right on the
That
cusp.
is a good one. What were yours, Donnie?
My biggest one, I actually shouted out most of mine. The Refreshments, Banditos was one of mine, but I still called it out. And then my other one was Super Drag, Sucked Out.
Oh, so good.
That album? That album is so good.
Line and that chorus, that album was fantastic. But that bass line within that song, like during the pre-chorus, kind of like before he gets into the chorus, and then he's got that scream in the chorus. God, he's got a great fucking voice.
I had that on my long list too, and I watched a performance on Conan O'Brien of this song. I think it was Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, it was.
And it's he nails the vocals in this song, which does not. Yeah, like on that performance, he nailed the vocals. That seems like hard. Like he got the whole emotion behind that, like who sucked out the feeling part. So great one. I had so many, but actually written down here, I have Duncan Sheik, Barely Breathing.
'Cause I am barely breathing. So good.
Great song.
Yep. So good. I mean, I Wish by Skilo.
Oh,
Dude,
nice.
I wish Skilo was on my list.
We have not talked enough about hip. Like there was a couple hip hop songs on the first episode, and there's been none since, and there was none on this one, and that's fine too. But like, talk about a one hit wonder. I mean, this song was massive, and then that dude disappeared.
My other hip hop song was "Sweet Potato Pie" by Domino. That one's wildly inappropriate, but a great one hit wonder against "Sweet Potato Pie," and then you never heard from Domino again.
Donnie, you want to review the list?
Let's recap the list. So, Jason, you kicked it off with "Stuck on You" by Failure. I did "Stay" by Lisa Loeb, "Steal My Sunshine" by Len, "You Suck" by The Murmurs, "Do Right" by Jimmy's Chicken Shack, "Save Tonight" by Eagle Eye Cherry, "Hello Hello" by Talk Show, "Bound to the Floor" by Local H, "Six Underground" by the Sneaker Pimps, "Weird Out" by Dandelion, "Walking in Memphis" by Mark Cohen, and "Flagpole Sitta" by Harvey Danger, being the 90s one-hit wonders, rounding it out with our special guest Jason from Bag of Tricks Media, Unstable Discourse. Dude,
that's a fun mixtape.
You were a hell of a guest, Jay. Yeah. Don't screw up sequencing them like Zach did.
Oh, I won't. Don't worry. My God, I will go over this in great detail and make sure we absolutely nail this.
Okay, Zach didn't do that bad, Donnie. I mean, we disagree with it, but you're making it sound like it was the worst thing that anybody's ever done.
Well, with two other frames of reference, it was the worst one we've had so far.
No,
but that's
fair.
all right. We'll give Zach a chance to redeem himself in the
Small
future.
pool.
How to make a mixtape.
Jason, thank you so much, man. I hope you had a good time.
Thank you. Thank you. I had a blast.
Thank you, dude.
Can we end on one quick, because it's a one-hit wonder. If the song was called "She's So High, But She's Taking Care of Business," what is that band?
Tal Bachman, Turner Overdrive.
Bam! That's how you do it.
And he's the son of the dude from Bachman Turner Overdrive.
He sure is. Yes.
Wow.
At least I knew some trivia about it if I didn't get it.
Nicely done.
Rod. But also, Jason, you need to send Rod a sweatshirt.
I will.
Yes, please.
I'll send me his
so Rod can
address
wear it
and
on a
I will
future
put that in the mail.
episode.
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
Absolutely. Hey, everybody, thank you for listening again. Please remember to follow the podcast on Spotify. Comment on the Instagram posts. We're trying to build some traction. We'd love to hear more people listen. It'd be cool if next week there were 2 listeners in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
You know, and then they told 2 friends, and then they told 2 friends, and so on.
And so on.
But great times. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And until next week, thank you very much.
Take care, guys.
Peace.